Okay, good morning everyone. Today we are going to discuss about diseases of oral cavity. Okay, today we will discuss in this class is benign diseases of oral cavity, and the next two classes we will discuss about carcinomas. The first one, it is a ranula. Ranula is a frog, or ranula looks like a belly of the frog. Hence the name. Ranula is an extravasation cyst arising from sublingual gland or mucous gland of nun and glands of the building in the floor of the mouth. Occasionally, it can occur in the submandibular saliva gland also. See, ranula is an extravasation cyst from the sublingual gland or the mucous gland. It can occur in the submandibular saliva gland also. Initially, how it starts? It is a blockage of the duct causing the retention cyst, which cause rupture of the acini to increase the pressure leading to extravasation cyst. See how it occurs. Ranula is occurs due to the blockage of the duct causing the retention cyst, which causes rupture of the acini due to increased pressure leading into the extravasation cyst. See, this is a university 4 marks question. Ranula. What are the clinical features of the ranula? It presents like a bluish smooth. It presents like a bluish swelling, and it is in soft in consistency, smooth, and it is non-tender, and it is fluctuant. And it is the most important feature is it is a brilliantly trans-illuminant in the lateral aspect of the floor of the mouth. See, these are the clinical features: bluish, smooth, soft, non-tender, and fluctuate and brilliantly trans-illuminant swelling in the lateral aspect of the floor of the mouth. It often extends into the submandibular region through the deeper part of the posterior margin of mylohyoid muscle, and it is called plunging goiter, plunging ranula. It is intraoral ranula with cervical extension if it is cross-fluctuant across the mylohyoid muscle. See, it is a flanging goiter. It is often extended into the submandibular region through the deeper part of the posterior margin of mylohyoid muscles, and it is called plunging ranula. See, what are the clinical features? It is bluish, smooth, soft and non-tender, and fluctuant and brilliantly trans-illuminant. Ranula has a delicate fibrous capsule, and it is lined by a layer of macrophages. It contains clear fluid. It may be damaged the vertebrates, it may be ruptured due to the extravasation cyst, and it may be get infected. It may interfere with the speech and swallowing occasionally. See, ranula is a delicate fibrous capsule, and it is lined by a layer of macrophages. It contains the clear fluid. Sometimes it damages the vertex duct, and it may rupture. It may get infected. See, if it is ruptured, the fluid will come outside and it may get infected also. It may interfere with the speech and the swallowing occasionally. These are the clinical features. See, the first picture is showing that baby, that is arrow mark is showing that the bluish discoloration of the swelling. And the second picture is showing it is the swelling is a brilliantly trans-illuminant, that red color. Okay. And the treatment, the clinical features are over. Then the treatment is marsupialization. It be done initially, and the lateral, once the wall of the ranula is thickened, it can be excised. If the ranula is small, it can be excised without any marsupialization. Excision of the sublingual salivary gland also often needed. See, what is marsupialization? If the swelling, the cyst is present, what will you do? We will give a slit incision of the swelling. Okay, then we will drain the fluid. If the slit edges, what are the swelling at the edges of the slit incision, we will put suturing to the surrounding tissue. Then what will happen? Whatever the fluid is will come out. Okay, it is continuous drainage procedure. See, once again I'll tell marsupialization. If it is a cyst is present, what we will do? We will put a nick on the cyst. Okay, after putting the cyst nick, then we will suck the fluid. Whatever the fluid is, we will aspirate the fluid. Then you were given a slit incision, right? In the slit incision, you will put a sutures to the surrounding tissue. Then what will happen? The wall is opened. Then the fluid will be continuous drainage. That is called marsupialization. If it is a long one, if it is a thick wall, you can go for excision of the cyst. If it is a small one, you will go for excision of the cyst. There is no marsupialization. See, this is the short question for you. Ranula, it is an extravasation cyst arising in the sublingual gland or the mucous gland of the nun. okay, in the submandibular floor of the mouth. Then it is initially, how it is happened? It initially block of the cyst duct. What are the duct is present? It will cause the duct obstruction. Then what will happen when the duct is obstructed? That fluid will go into cyst, retention cyst. If it is enlarged, what will happen? It will be rupture. The clinical features are bluish smooth and soft, non-tender, brilliantly transluminate, and it will be fluctuation will be present in the floor of the mouth. Then what is plunging granula? If it is extend the submandibular region throughout the deeper part of the posterior margin of mylohyoid muscle, it is called plunging granula. And it may damage the Watten's duct and it may get rupture and sometimes it's going to be infected also. Then it will be interfere in the speech and the swallowing. See, if they given the 4 marks question, you simply like as a granular definition, then what are the clinical features, then what is the treatment. See, these 3 pictures is showing, the first one is showing, the above one is the first one, is showing the bluish discolorization of the swelling, and the second one is brilliantly transilluminant. Then the treatment, if it is a larger one, we will go for marsupialization. What is the marsupialization? If it is a cyst, you will give a small slit and we will aspirate all the fluid. Then we will put a suturing to surrounding tissue to the slit incisions. Then what will happen? The fluid continues drainage. Okay, that is called marsupialization if it is a big one. Then if it is small, then what will happen? Completely we will excise. These are the treatment, excision and marsupialization. And the differential diagnosis, lymph cyst and sublingual dermoid. See then the second question. It is a sublingual dermoids. They are sequestration of the dermoids lined by the squamous epithelium containing the keratin. See the first picture is showing. See that swelling is present, sublingual dermoid. It is usually in the midline. It is not transilluminate because it is a dermoid cyst, dermoid swelling. It is lined by the squamous epithelium. It will not transilluminate and it is extension to the neck. See the first picture. The lower arrow mark, it's showing that it extension of the submental region also. See the lower one swelling below near the submental region. See the sublingual dermoids, there are the sequestration of the dermoids lined by the squamous epithelium containing the keratin. The first picture is showing that the submandibular swelling is the lower arrow mark. It is 2 types, median and lateral type. What is median sublingual dermoid? It is derived from the epithelial cells, rests at the level of fusion of 2 mandibular arches. It may be suprahyoid or inframylohyoid. It is located between the 2 genial muscles in relation between 2 mylohyoid muscle. It is in the midline swelling. It may be soft in consistency, smooth, non-tender, and non-transilluminant. The granula is transilluminant. That also is soft and non-tender. This is also non-transilluminant. That is a brilliantly transilluminate cyst. It is 2 types, median sublingual dermoid and lateral sublingual dermoid. The treatment is completely oral approach. If it is small one, it is a midline swelling, you will go for the oral approach, complete excision of the swelling. Okay, excision. Then what are the complications? Abscess formation. Treatment is complete excision through the oral approach for the midline swellings. The second type is lateral sublingual dermoid. It is develops relation to the submandibular duct, lingual nerve, and stylohyoid ligament. It is derived from the first brachial arch. It forms a swelling in the lateral aspect of the floor of the mouth. See, it is the median aspect and this one is the lateral aspect of the floor of the mouth. Then the treatment, if it is a small one, you remove by perorally. If it is a large one, through the submandibular incision. See that one, that median one, you will go for the oral approach, complete excision of the swelling. Then if it is a lateral one, if it is a small one, you will go for oral approach. Or if it is a big one, you will go for the submandibular incision. See, after the incision, the lower picture is showing that the complete dermoid cyst. See, the sublingual dermoid, it will be 2 types. It is lined by the squamous epithelium. 2 types, median sublingual dermoid, it is soft in consistency, non-transilluminant and smooth and non-tender. If it is a median one, you can go for oral approach, you will excise the complete cyst. Then a complication is abscess formation. Then the lateral sublingual dermoid. It is developed. It is also lateral part, and it is also soft in consistency and non-transilluminant. If it is a small one, you can remove by the oral approach or oral approach. If it is a large one, you will go for the submandibular incision. These are the two types. And next, it is a very important question. What are the pre-malignant conditions of the oral cavity? See, the conditions of the pre-malignant conditions of oral cavity: leukoplakia and erythroplakia and chronic hyperplastic candidiasis and oral submucal fibrosis, syphilitic glossitis, seborrheic dysphagia and oral lichen planus and discoid lupus erythematosus. These are the pre-malignant conditions. See, we will discuss each and everything. The first one, stomatitis. It is the inflammation of the oral mucosa by trauma. See, what is stomatitis? It is the inflammation of the oral mucosa. This is the definition. Then what are the causes? It mostly be a chemical or trauma or radiotherapy or nutritional deficiency or infections. See, it is a oral inflammation of the oral mucosa. It is by trauma, first cause, or radiotherapy, or chemicals, or nutritional deficiency, or the infections. The traumatic stomatitis, first one, the traumatic. It may be due to the dentures, teeth bite, and the brushing of the teeth harshly, which present as a painful, thin covering or fluid or increased salivation. Proper, see, it may be due to the teeth bite or dentures or brushing the hardly. This everything harshly. This everything it is the causes for the traumatic stomatitis. What is the treatment? Proper mouthwash will cure the condition. This is the first one. Stomatitis, it is the inflammation of the oral mucosa. The causes first one is traumatic. And the second one is aphthous ulcers. It is seen in the malnutrition, debility, and most uses of the steroids present as multiple hyperemic painful vesicles later forming deep round painful ulcers. See, aphthous ulcers, it will be present in the malnutrition patients or excessive steroids taken patients. Present as a multiple hyperemic painful vesicle, later it's forming the deep round painful ulcers. If it is treated with the mouthwash and if needed by the antibiotics. The recurrent after stomatitis with ulcers after familial, more common in women, and the lip, cheek, tongue, whereas the very painful with more salivation. It heals spontaneously, but during active period, it interferes with the speech and swallowing disastrously. See, this is after ulcer. It is seen in the malnutrition and you who have taken the steroids, and it is present in the multiple hyperemic painful ulcers, and it will next later stage. It's going to be round painful ulcers, deeper parts, and it is treated by proper mouthwash, and if needed, antibiotics also we will give. It is mostly will occur in the lip, cheek, and mouth, tongue. Okay, then it is most common in the females, more common in the females, and it heals spontaneously. In active stage, it will interfere with the speech and the swallowing also due to the pain. It is treated by the many drugs like levomeprazole, antibiotics, vitamin B and C, and local applications of anesthetics. Due to the pain, we can use xylocaine and choline. These are the treatment. We will give vitamin B and C complex tablets and local application of the anesthetics and antibiotics. These are the treatments for the aphthous ulcers. And we have to avoid that coffee, tea, and like what are the hot beverages. And next one is Candida stomatitis. It is due to the fungal infection. Candida albicans, which are seen in the diabetics, individuals on the steroid therapy, and long-term antibiotics, patients who are bedridden and prolonged ICU care. In initially infants and debilitated patient. Initially multiple red spots, which are the painful, appears in the tongue and the buccal mucosa, which later turn into the curved white patches. Often it extends into the pharynx and esophagus, causing the dysphagia. See, it is due to the candidal infection, fungal infections. Okay, it is first most common in the diabetes and individuals who are on the steroid therapy and long-term bedridden patients and long-term antibiotics and prolonged ICU care patient. It will be affects most. Then it is starts in the red spots, which are painful, appears in tongue and it is appears in the tongue and buccal mucosa, which turns later into curdy white patches. Then it is often extended into the pharynx and esophagus, causing dysphagia due to the pain, difficulty in the swallowing. It is due to the fungal infections, Candida stomatitis. And the treatment is antifungal drugs like fluconazole and clotrimazole. And ruggeds occurs at the corners of the mouth of the ulcers and congenital syphilis, leaving the radiating scar and furor. See, the treatment is antifungal drugs, clotrimazole and fluconazole. And Vincent's ulcerative stomatitis is due to the infection by the gram-negative anaerobic bacteria, Borrelia vincenti and fusiforms. It may common in the adolescents and young adults below the age of 35 years. Presents with fever, excessive salivation, red swollen gums with painful ulcers and covered with the yellowish fluff. The pseudomembrane, which can be removed like membrane ulcerative gingivitis. From the gums, it spreads cheek, palate, and pharynx. See, it is mostly it will occur due to the infection of the gram-negative bacteria. It will affect in the adolescent and most common in the 35 years old, below to the 35 years old. Tongue involvement is uncommon. The tender lymph nodes will be palpable, mostly fade ovaries typically, and the infection is tonsillar crypts is called as Vincent angina. It is confirmed by the swab culture. See, you will take swab and send for culture. Then you will know that which bacteria is involved. If it is treated antibiotics, penicillin group is the most useful, and peeling of membrane, mouthwash, and supportive methods of vitamin B and C. See, this is the clinical diagnosis by the swab culture and sensitivity and treated by antibiotics and peeling of the membrane, mouthwash, and supportive measures, vitamin B and C. Tablets. The next one is nutritional. It's due to the vitamin B deficiency and C complex and iron deficiency anemia. See, vitamin B deficiency like nicotinic acid and riboflavin deficiency. It is common in the tongue, presenting as a red area with atrophy of papillae. And vitamin C deficiency is commonly seen as bleeding gums and losing of the teeth. See, vitamin B deficiency like nicotinic acid and riboflavin deficiency. It is common in the tongue, presenting as a red areas with atrophy of papillae. And vitamin C complex if it is due bleeding of gums and losing of the teeth. And iron deficiency anemia causes superficial glossitis, mainly in the females. Vitamin B and C and the iron deficiency. These are the nutritional stomatitis. And angular stomatitis, it is superficial, plenty red brown fissures, ulcers around the angle of the mouth with cracks. The candida and streptococcal infections are the common. It is often called as allergy. It is treated with the vitamin B, C, and iron protein supplement with adequate oral hygiene. See, these are the types. What are the types of stomatitis? First is traumatic, and second one is aphthous, and the candidal infections, and Vincenti gram-negative bacteria, and nutritional deficiency, and angular stomatitis. See, these are the stomatitis. Then ankylonoma. Noma means it is a doer in the Greek. Eat gradually in consumption destructively. See this image. See, the lip is going to be gradually destruction of the epithelium and the mucous membrane of the lip. See, that blackish discoloration patch is present. That is called gangrenous tissue. That is the dead tissue. It is an infective gangrene and severe forms of Vincenti acute ulceration, ulcerative gingivitis, and stomatitis. It is an infective gangrene, a severe form of Vincenti's acute ulcerative gingivitis and stomatitis, seen in poorly nourished and ill child due to the Borrelia vincenti and fusiformis bacteria. It starts in the lips, later extends to the gums, and spreads into the cheek, bone, soft tissue, and skin, causing extensive tissue loss with severe toxemia. Extensive necrosis of the mucous membrane of the oral cavity with destruction of the deeper soft tissue and often bone. In children, it may follow after an attack of measles, gastroenteritis, typhoid, bronchopneumonia. Malnutrition is a predisposing factor, and excessive salivation, fetoid odor with distraction, discharge, and the toxic futures. See, first it starts in the lip, then it extends to the gums, then it spreads to the cheek, bone, soft tissue, and the skin, causing extensive tissue loss and the severe toxemia. Then extensive necrosis of what is the necrosis? Is a dead tissue of the mucous membrane of the oral cavity with destruction of the deeper soft tissue and the often bone. In children, it may follow after an attack of measles. See, in children, how it is first attack of the measles and gastroenteritis, typhoid fever, and bronchopneumonia due to the malnutrition and excessive salivation, fetal organ destruction, discharge, and toxic features. See, this is a picture I already told you. There is the inflammation and destruction of the mucus and that layers of the lip. Then it is a blackish discoloration. It is the gangrenous tissue. It can be cultured. Same, we will send for the culture and sensitivity. We will know that which organism is present. Borrelio insect is cultured. Then X-ray parts of show the bony destruction. If any bony involvement is there or not, we will see by the X-ray. Then conditions has got highly mortality. Secondary infections may also be coexist. Then the treatment. What are the treatment? First, we will give the systemic antibiotics, do a high dose of penicillin and metronidazole. And I told you vitamin deficiency, you give the supplementation of vitamins, high protein and vitamin rich diet through the nasogastric tube. See, why nasogastric tube? If it is a painful and gangrenous tissue is present, if patient is unable to take the food, then we will go for the nasogastric tube. We will put a Ryle tube. Then we will give diet proper to the Ryle tube. Then wound irrigation and labial excision of the dead tissue. What that is called excision of the dead tissue. Whatever the dead tissue, we will remove up to the bleeding edges. Then only it is going to be healed. Then if it is needed, blood transfusion and total parenteral nutrition also we will give. And later patient requires flap to cover the defect. See what is the treatment. First we will give the antibiotics, control the organism. Then high dose penicillins and metronidazole. Then if it is a vitamin deficiency, we will give the vitamin supplementation and high protein diet. Then through the, if it is a painful, if patient is unable to take, we will go for the nasogastric tube. Then wound irrigation and liberal excision of the dead tissue. Then blood transfusion if needed. Then total parenteral nutrition. Then we will go for the lateral patient requires any flap to cover the defect. This is over. Next, we will go for the syphilitic lesions of the oral cavity. The canker leaf, there is a highly continuous primary canker present is a painless macules, later forming painful superficial ulcers. Ulcers eventually heals with and a mucus patch, which are the grayish. Mucus patches, which are grayish white continuous patches seen on lip, cheek. The mucus patches fuse together to form the linear snail track ulcers in Ficuses pillars. The secondary syphilis. Hutchinson's continuous condyloma in midline tongue can occur. See, these are the two types. One is primary syphilis and one is secondary. Second one is secondary. See, gummatous painless ulcer is seen in the anterior two-thirds of the tongue, palate, and nasal septum. The syphilitic Chronic glossitis is seen in the tertiary syphilis. Syphilitic chronic glossitis is seen in the tertiary syphilis, which is the precancerous conditions, primary, secondary, and the tertiary. The tertiary is the primary, it is a precancerous condition. The first one, it is also university question for you. It is the leukoplakia. Leukoplakia, what is leukoplakia? It is a white patch in the mucosa of the oral cavity that can be characterized by clinically or pathologically to any other diseases. It is a pre-malignant condition. Leukoplakia, it is a pre-malignant condition. It is a white patch. In the mucosa of the oral cavity that can be characterized by clinically or pathologically. What are the common causes for the leukoplakia? The first one is smoking, and the second one is spirits, then sepsis, then superficial glossitis, syphilis, spicy foods, and sharp tooth, and susceptibility, pan chewing using the aerica, tobacco, and sulcal lime, and chronic hypertrophic candidiasis. See, it is a white patch of the mucosa of the oral cavity that can be characterized by clinically or pathologically. It is a pre-malignant condition. Then, what are the common causes? First one is smoking and spirit, all S's. See, smoking, spirit, sepsis, superficial glossitis, and syphilis, and spicy foods, and sharp tooth, susceptibility, pan chewings, using erica, tobacco, and slack lime, and chronic hypertrophic candidiasis. These are the common causes for the leukoplakia. And leukopenia is a pre-malignant condition. See all SS, smoking, spirits, sepsis, and superficial glossitis, syphilis, spicy foods, and sharp tooth, and susceptibility. Pan chewing using the erica, tobacco, and circulum, and chronic hypertrophic candidiasis, long-standing candida infections. These all are the causes for the leukoplakia. Then the types. One is homogeneous and nodular and speckled. The nodular type, it is a more potentially malignant, and speckled is more potentially malignant and highest. The clinical three types, homogeneous and nodular and speckled. Clinically, the lesions appears as white or grayish colored, well localized patch in the cheek, tongue, palate, or other areas of the oral cavity. It is a clinically the lesions appears as a white in color or grayish in color, well localized patch in the cheek, tongue, palate, and other areas of the oral cavity. The incidence of the leukoplakia in those who smokes or chewing gum is 20%, whereas the incidence in the non-smokers is 1%. See, the incidence of the smokers and pan chewing is 20%, and whereas the non-smokers is 1%. The incidence of the turning into malignancy is 2 to 4%. It increase with the age, duration, and pan chewing and smoking. See, leukoplakia, how much it's turned into malignancy? It is a 4%, 2 to 4%. It is a incidences in the smokers, it is and pan chewing, it is 20%. In the non-smokers, it is a 1%, and the incidence of the turning to a malignancy, it is 2 to 4%. And it is increased with the age, duration of the pan chewing, and the smoking. And the buccal mucosa oral commissures are the most common sites, common in the males. Leukoplakia is a long duration. Leukoplakia is elderly, and it is in the younger females. Leukoplakia is a floor of the mouth and tongue. Leukoplakia with the induration, cracks, and fissures are more likely to turn the malignancy. See, buccal mucosa and oral commissures are the most common sites. Leukoplakia of long duration, leukoplakia in elderly, leukoplakia in the younger females, leukoplakia in the floor of the mouth and the tongue. And leukoplakia with induration, cracks, and fissures are the more likely to turn into the malignancy. Histologically, it's pericarditis, widening of the rib peaks, histological staging, acanthosis, and pericarditis, and dyskeratosis, dysplasia, and carcinoma in situ. The diagnosis is mostly by the biopsy. If you take the biopsy of the edge of the patch, then you will know that it is a benign or malignant. The confirmative Diagnosis, it is by the biopsy. See the stagings. Acanthosis, it is a elongation of the rib cage, then smooth, white and dry patch. And the pericardosis, widening of the radiopex, discatosis, and the keratin cell layers formation deep to the epidermis. Then one is dysplasia and carcinoma in situ. These are the stages. The confirmative diagnosis, biopsy. In biopsy, you will diagnose this by, you will differentiate the whether it is the benign or it is a malignant lesion. Malignant lesion. See, in the picture you are showing that the arrow mark is showing that the white color patch, that is called leukoplakia. The treatment. First, stop the causes. What are the causes? The pan chewing and smoking has to be stopped. Excision, if required, the skin grafting has to be done, and regular follow-up is necessary. And isotretinoin is helpful, and beta-catenin and tocopherol are also useful with the carbon dioxide laser excision. See, leukoplakia, this is a 4 marks question for you. Or if they will ask as a benign conditions of the oral cavity, and you have to explain each and everything. What is leukoplakia? It is a white color patch of the mucus, white patch of the mucus of the oral cavity. It can be characterized by clinically or pathologically. It is a pre-malignant condition of oral cavity, pre-malignant condition. What are the common causes? See, first all SS, smoking, spirits, sepsis, superficial glossitis, syphilis, spicy foods, and sharp tooth and susceptibility, and who are in the pan chewing and tobacco and slocum, and chronic hypertrophic candidiasis. That's also in the long-standing candidal infections. Types. 3 types: homogeneous, nodular, and speckled. It is in the white patch and grayish color. It will be local by cheek, tongue, palate, and other areas also it will be present. Most commonly it present in the buccal mucosa and oral commissures. The incidence is in smokers is 20%, and incidence in the non-smokers is it is 1%. The tons of the malignancy into the leukoplakia turns into malignancy is 2 to 4%. It will be increased with the age and duration of the pan chewing and the smoking. And this is the stagings of the histological staging. It is confirmed diagnosis, histopathology, biopsy, and we will know that whether it is a benign or it is in the malignancy. See, the white color patch is showing that is called leukoplakia. And the treatment is stop the pan chewing and tobacco smoking. Then excision, if required, the skin grafting has to be done if it is a bigger lesions. Then regular follow-up is necessary, and isotretinoin is helpful. Beta carotenins and tocopherol are also useful, and carbon dioxide laser excision. Then hairy leukoplakia is a asymptomatic white lesions of the oral cavity. Most common site is tongue margins, others of the dorsum of the tongue and buccal mucosa and floor of the mouth. Etiology, it is most common in the EB virus, then common in the HIV and immunocompromised patient. Diagnosis histologically and demonstration by EB virus in PCR and southern blot methods. Treatment is antiretroviral therapy. This is the most common in the HIV patients. Leukoplakia is completed, and the next condition is erythroplakia. It is the red velvety appearance of the mucosa which cannot characterize by any recognized condition. It is 17 to 20 times more potentially malignant than leukoplakia. See, what is a leukoplakia condition? It is 2 to 4%. It is 17 to 20 times more potentially malignant than leukoplakia. Histologically, parakeratosis with severe epithelial dysplasia is the typical feature of the erythroplakia. See, histological gazing, this is a parakeratosis with severe epithelial dysplasia is a typical feature. Red color is due to the decreased keratin causing shining and prominence of the submucosal red vasculature connective tissue. It is equal in the both sexes. Then it is common in lower alveolar mucosa, gingival buccal sulcus, and floor of the mouth. It can be homogeneous, speckled, are granular or erythroplakia interspread with the leukoplakia. See, that is the red color patches. This picture. Diagnosis is done by the biopsy. Treatment is biopsy and the surgical excision. See, erythroplakia. It is red velvety appearance of mucosa, which cannot characterize any recognized condition. It is 17 to 20 times more potentially malignant than leukoplakia. Histologically, paracharacterosis with severe epithelial dysplasia is the typical feature of the erythroplakia in biopsy. It is equal in the both sexes and it is common in the lower alveoli of the mucosa, gingival buccal mucosa sulcus, and floor of the mouth. It can be homogeneous, speckled, granular, or erythroplakia interspersed with the leukoplakia. The diagnosis is by the biopsy and the treatment is biopsy and the surgical excision. Then oral submucosal fibrosis, the next condition. The chronic insidious painless process characterized as dense white patch in the oral cavity and pharynx due to the juxtaepithelial disposition of the fibrous tissue. The Indian subcontinent and genetic are the racial. It is a pre-malignant condition, 40% of oral cancers. It is a pre-malignant condition, 40% of oral cancers, and age is 20 to 50 years. It's most common in the females and gene disorders. Etiology, pan and tobacco chewing and prolonged chewing, cigarette and BD smoking, alcohol and spicy foods, nutritional deficiencies, iron, vitamin A, B, and zinc and antioxidants, and localized cold. See, etiological factors, smoking, and the panchobic, tobacco, and everything, spicy food, nutrition, same as I told you in the leukoplakia, all SS. Okay, spirits, smoking, and spicy food, sharp tooth, syphilis, and everything it's going to be causes for the erythroplakia. And it is here also vitamin deficiency, iron, vitamin A, B, and zinc, and antioxidants, and localized coal. These are the etiological factors for the erythroplakia. And what the most common in the reverse smoking and pathology. If it is irritant, subepithelial inflammation, and increased production and decreased degeneration of the collagen. Irritants, what will happen? It is a subepithelial inflammation, subepithelial, increased production and decreased degenerative of collagen. And the clinical features: stage 1 stomatitis, vesicles, ulcers and soreness and burning sensation of the mouth, intolerance to spicy foods. And stage 2, three stages: stomatitis, fibrosis and sequelae. What in fibrosis? White fibrotic bands over the soft palate, pillars, buccal mucosa, gradually progressive painless trismus, and marked trismus. In stage 3, poor oral dental hygiene, leukoplakia, dysphagia, speech deficit, and submandibular swellings. These are the clinical features. Three stages. One is stomatitis, fibrosis, and sequelae. What will happen? Ulcers, sore throat, and burning sensation of the mouth, and intolerance to take the spicy foods, hot beverages, and everything. And white fibrotic bands, and buccal mucosa, palate, pillar, and progressive painless trismus. And what will happen? Dysphagia is occur and submandibular swellings, leukoplakia, speech deficit, each and everything will occur. These are the clinical features. See, here it is a bands and it is a picture showing that white one, the submucal fibrous with the right cheek. Note the stiff fibrotic bands and the scarring. Diagnosis: blood test, anemia, if hemoglobin you will see, and ESR. ESR will be raised due to the inflammation. And biopsy after the turbine blue staining, gastric analysis. In the treatment, local steroids, injection steroid, Dexa 4 grams, 1 ampule of 4 grams, injection Hylas in 1 ml intraorally submucosal oral fibrotic bands once or twice a week for 6 to 8 weeks. See, how will you take steroid dexamethasone and Hyalase 1500 units in 1 ml Intraorally or submucosally, you will inject over fibrous bands once or twice a week for 6 to 8 weeks. That is the treatment. Dexamethasone plus Hyalase. It will take into in 1 ml of oral submucosal. And what are the deficiencies? Vitamin deficiency, you have to supplement that. Vitamin A, B, and C, and everything. And good oral dental hygiene. Avoid irritants, jaw opening and exercise. Good oral dental hygiene. That means you have to take properly, wash the brush. Then avoid the irritants and jaw opening. And you have to avoid the smoking and spicy foods and everything, and oral chewing also, tobacco chewing. This is the treatment. And surgically, incision, sectioning of the fibrous bands, and the grafting. Graft used to be split skin graft, bilateral tongue graft, nasolabial flap, and temporal facial grafts, bilateral radial forearm free grafts, and lasers and condylectomy. This is the treatment. See, the pre-malignant conditions we will divide into the high risk, median risk, and the equivocal. What are the high risks? What are the high risk? Leukoplakia, erythroplakia, and chronic hyperplastic candidiasis. These are the high risk. You can divide into three types: high, medium, and equivocal. High are leukoplakia, erythroplakia, and chronic hyperplastic candidiasis. And what are the medium risks? Oral submucosal fibrosis and syphilic glossitis and seborrheic dysphagia. And equivocal oral lichen planus and leukoplakia in oral cavity and discoid lupus erythematosus and dyskeratosis of congenital reticular atrophy, Niles dystrophy. These are the equivocal. High risk, medium risk, and equivocal. Here I finished the benign conditions of the oral cavity. What are the benign conditions? Leukoplakia, erythroplakia, and syphilis. Everything is going to be pre-malignant condition. Oral mucosa, fibrosis of mucosa. This everything will be a pre-malignant conditions of the oral cavity. These are the benign conditions of the oral cavity. And next class we will discuss about carcinomas of the oral cavity. Any questions?